When the foundation of Western financial credit began to waver, more and more countries started to reassess the security of their gold reserves and gradually move their holdings out of storage institutions in the United States and Europe. Now, they are all searching for a safer and more stable place to store their assets. Recent reports suggest that Cambodia plans to transfer part of its national gold reserves to Shenzhen, China. The amount is estimated to be about 1/4 of its total reserves, roughly 10 tons of gold. This move would make Cambodia the first country to choose China as a storage location for its gold, and many believe more nations may follow in the future. Some financial experts point out that this marks a reshaping of the global gold storage landscape. For decades, London and New York have dominated the world's gold market, thanks to their deep financial systems and extensive reserve facilities. But now, many countries are turning their attention to regions that are more stable, relatively neutral, and consistently growing economically. In today's video, we'll explore two key questions. Why did Cambodia choose to store its gold in China? And why is the century-old credit system, built by Western banks, facing a growing crisis of trust? If you like our video content, please click to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can receive all our latest video content. Now, let's get into today's topic. Gold has long been a symbol of wealth and one of the most important strategic reserve assets for many nations. When a country begins to accumulate large amounts of gold, it typically prioritizes a few key factors: extremely high security, a stable legal environment, and the ability to quickly access or mobilize those assets in emergencies. According to data released by the World Gold Council in 2025, the world's most secure gold custodian remains the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Its vaults, built 25 meters underground in solid granite, hold over 6,000 tons of gold on behalf of about 36 countries and several international organizations. Ranking second is the Bank of England, which stores around 5,500 tons of gold, making it the largest gold depository in Europe. The Swiss National Bank and Zurich's vault system, though smaller in scale at around 2,000 tons, are favored by some nations for their high level of confidentiality and political neutrality. Of course, London and New York remain the core centers of global gold trading and pricing, accounting for over 80% of total global gold transactions. Countries that store their gold in these financial hubs do so not only for security, but also to ensure easy participation in international settlements, collateralization, or rapid conversion into US dollars when needed. For example, about 1/3 of Germany's gold reserves are stored in New York so that, in times of crisis, they can be quickly liquidated without the complications of cross-border transportation. Over the past decade or so, many countries have quietly begun adjusting their gold reserve strategies. Nations like Hungary, India, and Poland have been gradually transferring portions of their gold from Western bank vaults back to their own territories. Even some of the United States' close allies have started doing the same. Many financial observers, this is more than just a simple asset relocation. It's a seismic shift centered around trust, a reset of the global financial order. So, what exactly has driven so many countries to bring their gold back home? As far as I know, Germany's central bank launched its gold repatriation plan as early as 2010, deciding to move half of the country's gold reserves back to domestic vaults. In 2013, Germany spent around 7 million euros to transport 674 tons of gold from New York and Paris to Frankfurt. As of today, about 37% of Germany's gold reserves still remain in New York. At the time, this large-scale transfer was viewed as a routine strategic adjustment, but in hindsight, it looks more like a precautionary move, a form of risk mitigation planned well in advance. Amid growing skepticism over the transparency of the Federal Reserve's gold vaults, Germany also demanded a full audit of the 1,200 tons of gold still stored overseas, signaling a clear concern about the safety of its assets. Then came 2022. After the outbreak of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Western countries imposed unprecedented financial sanctions on Russia. To cut off Moscow's access to funds, the US and Europe directly froze nearly $300 billion in Russian overseas assets, including gold reserves and US Treasury bonds. Imagine this: a sovereign nation's hard-earned foreign reserves suddenly placed under someone else's freeze button. Inaccessible, unusable. It's as if you deposited money in a bank, only to be told one day, sorry, your funds are temporarily unavailable. For any country, that level of uncertainty represents an enormous risk. What makes this even more controversial is that those frozen assets haven't simply been left untouched. The European Commission has proposed using the interest generated from those funds to provide a €14 billion loan to Ukraine, with part of it earmarked for military spending. Ursula von der Leyen promoted this plan as a way to enhance European security. But in doing so, it completely shattered the trust many countries once had in the Western financial system. After $300 billion of Russia's overseas assets were frozen, a global wave of gold repatriation has clearly accelerated. Since 2022, India has been speeding up its own gold repatriation efforts. In 2024 alone, it brought back 100 tons of gold from the United Kingdom. By September 2025, the share of India's gold reserves stored domestically had risen from 38% to 65%, with nearly 280 tons repatriated in just 4 years. In 2023, Turkey's central bank made global headlines with a bold move. It directly chartered Boeing 747 cargo planes to airlift 220 tons of gold from the New York Fed's vaults back to Ankara. Even some Western allies have quietly begun to follow suit. In October 2025, the Netherlands considered launching its own gold repatriation plan, aiming to move 190 tons of gold back home within 3 years. All of these examples point to a clear trend. As the US and Europe increasingly weaponize financial rules, global trust in the financial system has begun to erode. In response, repatriating gold reserves has become a new form of safe haven consensus among nations. Yet at this moment, more and more countries are asking a crucial question: where can their national wealth truly be kept safe? At this critical juncture, China may be emerging as a new alternative for some nations. According to what I've learned, the governor of Cambodia's national bank was weighing an important decision last month: where should the country's gold reserves be stored to ensure the highest level of safety? Many had assumed Cambodia would continue keeping its gold in European banks. After all, for decades, Switzerland and London have been the most trusted storage centers for central banks around the world. But in the end, Cambodia made an unusual decision. It chose to store part of its national gold reserves in China, specifically in vaults located within the Shenzhen Free Trade Zone. In fact, these Shenzhen vaults are not ordinary warehouses. They are certified by the Shanghai Gold Exchange and built to the highest security standards for national-level reserves. As a key hub in China's gold trading and storage system, Shenzhen now has world-class gold storage capabilities. In 2024, the Shanghai Gold Exchange's International Board recorded a trading volume of 36.7 trillion yuan, maintaining its position as the world's largest physical gold trading market. Meanwhile, these bonded vaults also offer unlimited duration storage, services perfectly suited for long-term central bank reserves. With this move, Cambodia has become one of the first countries to officially store part of its national gold reserves in China. But this decision raises a new question. For years, Cambodia kept its gold in Switzerland and London, so why has it now begun moving it to China? As we all know, on October 14, 2025, the United States filed criminal charges against Cambodia's Prince Group and sought to confiscate its holdings of 120,000 bitcoins, valued at around $15 billion at the time. Less than 2 weeks later, Singaporean authorities also seized 6 properties owned by Chun Ji and his group in Singapore, while freezing related bank, securities, and cash accounts totaling over 150 million Singapore dollars. Currently, Cambodia's central bank holds about 54 tons of gold, accounting for roughly 1/4 of the nation's $26 billion in foreign exchange reserves. In the international financial system, once sensitive issues come into play, asset security may not be as controllable as it appears. Against this backdrop, Cambodia's decision to transfer part of its gold reserves to China serves two purposes: reducing reliance on Western financial institutions and increasing flexibility in its overall asset allocation. Of course, there's also a very practical reason behind Cambodia's decision to store its gold in China. China is one of its most important economic partners. In recent years, under the framework of the Belt and Road Initiative, Chinese enterprises have been deeply involved in building Cambodia's infrastructure. From Phnom Penh's new airport to highways and canals, Chinese investment and engineering expertise are everywhere. At present, about 1/3 of Cambodia's national debt comes from China. In terms of trade, bilateral trade between the two countries reached a record $15 billion last year, and the majority of these transactions are now settled in renminbi. By storing its gold in China, Cambodia can directly use it as collateral to obtain renminbi when needed, bypassing the complexities of dollar exchange rates and settlement intermediaries. More importantly, China has long emphasized the concept of de-weaponizing finance. It has never arbitrarily frozen another country's assets or used financial tools as a means of sanction. This politically neutral financial environment sends a strong signal of stability to countries concerned about political risk. In contrast, while the vaults in London and New York have long histories, when it comes to asset security and settlement practicality, they are no longer the only options. In fact, Cambodia is not the first country to transfer part of its national gold reserves to China. Several years ago, Laos had already deposited 3 tons of gold in vaults located in Shanghai. Likewise, Thailand's central bank has stored around 50 tons of gold within the Shanghai Gold Exchange's storage system in Hong Kong. These arrangements have long been known within financial circles, though they were never publicly promoted. By contrast, Cambodia's decision to make its move public was likely a deliberate choice, a way to signal its policy direction and strengthen its stance on external economic cooperation. As China's influence in global trade, finance, and policy coordination continues to expand, gold is gradually becoming a new universal language. The integration of the renminbi and gold is forming the foundation of a new international financial framework, one that moves away from the US dollar but remains stable and orderly. Moreover, China has maintained its position as the world's largest gold producer for over a decade, accounting for about 11% of global annual output. At the same time, it has also been the world's largest consumer of gold, representing roughly 1/3 of total global demand each year. This dual leadership, both in production and consumption, provides China with a solid foundation to establish itself as a global gold finance hub. It also explains why more countries, as they seek to diversify their reserves, are now turning their attention toward China. To not miss out on our future projects and news updates, please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. We will continue to provide you with more exciting and interesting content.